Okay, this question says a reaction mixture containing H2, N2 and ammonia has a partial pressures 2 atmosphere, 1 atmosphere and 3 atmosphere respectively at 725 Kelvin. If the value of Kp for this given reaction is 4.25 into 10 to power minus 5 atmosphere to power minus 2 at 725 Kelvin, in which direction will the reaction go, net reaction go, right? Obviously, this is based on your comparison between reaction quotient and K, right? So here specifically we are going to compare QP versus KP, right? So what is reaction quotient? Same expression as what you write as our equilibrium constant. Just that the concentrations when they are at equilibrium, we get the value to be equal to K equilibrium. If they are not at equilibrium, or we don't know whether they are at equilibrium and we just put some random values which we know at this point in time, that value is what we call as reaction quotient, right? Specifically in terms of pressures, partial pressures, we call it as QP. Now, the general idea is that if your Q is greater than K, we can say that the net reaction will be now moving in the backward direction. If your Q is less than K, the net reaction will be going in your forward direction. And if Q is already equal to K, we can say that the reaction is at equilibrium for the given concentrations of partial pressures that is given to us, right? So yeah, what do? Simple, we just have to calculate QP and compare it with the value of Kp given here, right? So what do we need? QP will be equal to pressure of ammonia square, right? Same expression as Kp, only thing is that this is like non-equilibrium, or we don't know current, whatever pressures are given, that is what we are going to substitute here. So pressure of N2 into pressure of H2 to power 3. So what do we get? Pressure of ammonia is given to us as 3. So 3 square divided by pressure of nitrogen is 1 atmosphere and pressure of hydrogen is 2 atmosphere. So 2 to power 3, right? So I'm getting 9 by 8 as the value of QP, which obviously you can see is way larger than this Kp that is given to us, right? Which means that the net reaction has to go in the backward direction, as I've already told you. If your Q is greater than K, net reaction will be moving in backward direction. If Q is less than K, Q will go on increasing, right? How will Q increase? If more products are being formed, right, than reactants. So the numerator keeps on increasing and eventually Q goes on increasing as the forward net reaction takes place, and eventually the aim of Q is to become equal to K, right? So yeah, right now we can see that the conditions are such that Q is much greater than K. So backward reaction is the net reaction that is going to happen, which is option B. Okay, this question is a simple application of Born-Haber cycle. Calculate the lattice energy of a salt Mx from the data given below, right? So, what all are given? Some enthalpy of formation, heat of formation of Mx is given, heat of sublimation of M is given, heat of dissociation of X2 is given, right? And ionization energy of this M is given, and electron affinity of X is also given to us. There have been some symbols that have been used for it. We don't really need them. I mean, we are just concerned about the values, right? So we need to find out the exact final value. What is Born-Haber cycle? We say that enthalpy of formation, the net reaction enthalpy, should be equal to the individual parts that are there. The sum of enthalpies of all of these individual steps should be equal to net enthalpy of formation. So what do I have here? Some M solid is there and this X2 is there, and yeah, nothing is said about whether this X2 is a gas or not. So I'm going to assume, because there is nothing else given, right? So no vaporization given for X2, no sublimation, nothing is given. So I'm going to assume it's a gas. I need half X2 so that I can get Mx in solid phase, right? So this is what you call as your enthalpy of formation. The enthalpy in this reaction is enthalpy of formation, which is minus 550. First of all, I'm going to convert this into M in gas phase by using sublimation energy. Then half of bond dissociation energy of X2 is going to be used here. So I'm going to write, this symbols can be used here, right? So I'm going to use D by 2 here. Why D by 2? Because for half mole we need, right? So what is given is for dissociation of 1 mole of X2, but I need only half mole of X2. So I'm going to divide that by 2. S is given for sublimation. Then I'm getting X in gas phase. Then M plus in gas phase is made made, right? So ionization energy I is needed here. Electron affinity or electron gain enthalpy is the energy that is released here. I'm going to get X minus gas. Then these two combines to give me the mx solid. Here lattice energy is the energy that is there, right? So lattice formation enthalpy, enthalpy change during formation of lattice is what we are trying to calculate. So what do I write as formula? I can write minus 550, the overall enthalpy of formation should be equal to sublimation of M. All of these are in kilojoule per mole, so I am not writing the units at all. M 80 kilojoule per mole. Then after that, dissociation of X2 is 155 per mole. I need by 2. So that will be what? 77.5, right? 155 by 2. 150 is 75 and then 5, 2.5. So 77.5. Then after that, ionization energy I have to give 347 for M. Then energy released will be minus 343, right? I mean, electron gain enthalpy is negative, so yeah, I'm adding that to minus 343. And then after that, my lattice enthalpy is also going to be there. Sum of all of these should be equal to minus 550. So yeah, this is one good thing that I can already see. 4 will remain here. What do I get? I'm going to get lattice energy equal to, if I take everything on the other side, I'll get minus 550 was already there, minus 80, minus 77.5, minus 4, right? Wow. So 77.5 plus 4 is how much? 81.5 plus 80, 161.5, 161 plus 550, right? So 550 plus 150 is what? 700 plus what? 6.5, 706.5 or something like this. Somewhere in this range, right? So I'm not looking at calculating the exact value anyways. 550 plus 80, 630, 630 plus 70, 700, 707.5. Yeah, I think I might have made a mistake here. Maybe, right? So maybe 711.5. Yeah, 711.5 is what I'm seeing here, not 706.5. Yeah, it was 161.5, right? So 11.5 plus, yeah, cool, that's true. Okay, so 711.5, the enthalpy change associated with formation of 1 mole of mx is minus 711.5, which is obviously option C. Okay, this question says the translational kinetic energy of an ideal gas depends only on its obvious, right? So this is pretty direct. Even in our kinetic theory, we say that kinetic energy of when we are trying to find a relationship between pressure and temperature and all without using ideal gas laws, we say that okay, kinetic energy is directly proportional to absolute temperature or temperature in Kelvin, right? So we get the formula. Kinetic energy, I mean specifically translational kinetic energy, we get it to be equal to 3 by 2 kBT per molecule, right? What is kb? Kb is your Boltzmann constant, R upon Na, right? So R upon Na. This is of course for one molecule that we are speaking. If you want for 1 mole of molecules, translational kinetic energy turns out to be 3 by 2 RT, right? So yeah, what does it depend on? You can see 3 by 2 and R are obviously constant. So what is left? Only thing left is temperature in Kelvin, right? So does it depend on pressure? No. Does it depend on force? What do you even mean? No. Total, what is the molar mass? No. Do you see anything related to molar mass? No. If you know the temperature of any gas, you know its average kinetic energy irrespective of what gas you have, right? So obviously the correct answer is option C. Okay, this is a simple question based on formula. The question says find the pH of a 1 liter of buffer solution containing 0.01 molar ammonium chloride NH4Cl and 0.05 molar NH4OH at 25 degrees C. The base dissociation constant Kb for NH4OH is 1.8 into 10 to the power minus 5. Take log of 1.8 as 0.26. Otherwise, we would have been able to calculate it. But yeah, perfect for us. So because it is given to us that this is a buffer, because it is known to us that this is a buffer, we can directly use the formula. This is a basic buffer. You can see here you have a weak base and it's salt with a strong acid. So we can say POH is equal to pKb plus log of salt by base, right? So yeah, it's supposed to be concentration of salt by concentration of base. If concentration was not known, if number of moles was given, even that could have been used, right? So concentration by concentration turns out to be mole by mole also, right? So yeah, what do we get as POH? We are supposed to find pH. We will reach there, but yeah, let's calculate POH first. Now this pKb thing, what is pKb? Negative log of Kb. So it is 1.8 into 10 to the power minus 5. So I'm going to get log of A into B is log A plus log B, right? So negative of log of 1.8 plus log of 10 to the power minus 5. Log of 10 to the power minus 5 is minus 5. This is the definition of log, right? So log of 10 to the power minus 5 is minus 5. So we will be getting what? Minus is already there outside. So I'm going to get something like 5 minus log 1.8. And 1.8 log is given to us as 0.26. So this is 4.74. So what is our POH going to be? POH is equal to 4.74 plus log of concentration of salt is 0.01 divided by concentration of weak base is 0.05. So this you can see is log of 1 by 5, right? But what is log of 1 by 5? We know log of 1 by x is minus log x, right? So I can write this as 4.74 minus log 5, and log 5 is what? Log of 10 by 2, or log 10 minus log 2, 1 minus 0.3, right? So 0.7 approximately. So this is going to be 4.04. Now what is asked is pH? Of course, top right I'm writing this. pH is obviously equal to 14 pKw at 25 degrees C is given to us, minus POH, right? So 14 minus 4.04. What is this? 10 minus 0.04 is 9.96. Right? So the pH that we are getting is 9.96, which is obviously option A. Okay, this question says 20 ml of 0.1 molar H2SO4 solution is mixed with 30 ml of 0.2 molar NH4OH solution. The pH of the resultant solution is, and pKb of NH4OH is given to us, right? Now think about this. What do we have here? H2SO4, which is considered to be a strong acid, right? So we can assume, I mean, there is first dissociation is like something that we consider as something which almost goes to completion. Second one is not really that much, but still we assume H2SO4 to be a strong acid, right? So H2SO4 is going to give me 2H plus plus SO4 2 minus. Right? So if I have molarity and volume, can I find number of moles? Yes. Molarity into volume in liter is number of moles. Molarity into volume in ml gives us number of millimoles. So I have 20 into 0.1, which means I have 2 millimoles of H2SO4, which means that I'm going to get 4 millimoles of H plus. You can see 1 is giving me 2. So obviously 2 millimole is going to give me 4 millimoles of H plus. And when I'm looking at the reaction between these two, what can I say? NH4OH is a weak base, and this H2SO4 is a strong acid. You're going to get neutralization happening. So I'm directly going to write H plus here. Why write H2SO4 and all of these and get confused? So yeah, what is happening here? NH4OH will react with H plus, giving you NH4 plus H2O, right? So it will lose an OH minus, which will react with H plus. Similarly, we have been given the volume of your NH4OH as well, right? So we had 4 millimoles of H plus, and 30 into 0.2. 30 into 0.2 would mean how much? 3 into 2, 6 millimoles of NH4OH is what I had. Right? So obviously your H plus is in limiting quantity here. You can see this will react with 1 mole of H plus is reacting with 1 mole of NH4OH. So 4 will react with 4. So I will be having 2 millimoles of NH4OH left. And you can see 1 H plus is giving you 1 NH4 plus. So 4 millimole is going to give me 4 millimole of NH4 plus. Right? Obviously, look at what do we have. Whenever you have these different solutions that are mixed, different concentration, different volumes and all of these, and you have to find pH after adding some particular volume, think about the reaction, see if there is an excess reagent, limiting reagent, angle and all, see what all are there after the reaction is complete, right? So I have 2 millimoles of this, I have 4 millimoles of NH4 plus as well, which means I have a certain weak base and the salt of that weak base as well, or the conjugate acid of that weak base as well, right? So salt with a strong acid, that too, right? So H2SO4. So yeah, what do I can see here that obviously this is going to be a buffer. So I can use the Henderson equation. POH is equal to pKb plus log of NH4 plus concentration divided by NH4OH concentration, right? Salt by base. Now what is this NH4 plus concentration divided by NH4OH? I don't need actually concentration, right? Because these are all happening in the same solution. So number of moles by volume divided by number of moles by volume. Volume is same, so they are going to cancel out. So I can directly use number of moles also instead of concentration. So I'm going to get POH to be equal to pKb of NH4OH is given to us as 4.7 plus log of number of moles I can directly take. So I have NH4 plus 4 millimole and NH4OH as 2 millimole. So 4 millimole divided by 2 millimole. I mean millimole will also cancel out. I could have written into 10 to the power minus 3, but yeah, they will cancel out anyways, right? So I have plus log 2. What is log 2? 0.3, right? So 4.7 plus 0.3 would mean that 4.7 plus 0.3 would mean that I am getting POH to be equal to 5, right? But yeah, what do I need? I need pH, right? pH was what was asked. Yeah, of course. So I can write POH will be POH plus pH will be equal to 14 at 25 degrees C, or pKW in general. So pH will be equal to 14 minus POH. What is that going to be equal to? 14 minus 5, which is equal to 9, right? So looking at the options, we can see correct answer is B option.